Yes.
That's the one. Perfect, thank you. Hello everybody, yes, so my name is Daniela LULACHE. I'm working for the Nuclear Energy Agency, which is part of the OECD. For the one of you who doesn't necessarily know OECD, it is an intergovernmental agency. Our members are the like-minded countries, and especially when we are talking about the Nuclear Energy Agency, we are talking about 33 member countries, which reunite more than 80% of the nuclear power generation worldwide. Today, I think it is important, of course, today I will express our view about the role of the nuclear in the future energy systems, but because we are the Nuclear Energy Agency and because everybody considers that we are supporters of nuclear, even though our role it is just to promote the best standards for a safe operation of nuclear power plants, I will start my presentation with a number of data, because what we do at the OECD, we work a lot with data. So starting with data, trying to reply to Claude's question, I think for all of us the key dilemma it is in fact how to meet the energy demand growth while limiting the global warming, because these are two realities. One of the realities, it is the fact that the global electricity consumption, it is projected to grow. Whomever looks at this data, however it looks, if we are talking about the countries which, and communities which need development, the developing countries, even if we are talking about urbanization of the increased electrified transport, clearly the global electricity consumption, it is to grow. And for example, one of these forecasts estimates a 60% growth by 2040. And it is also another fact, the Paris Agreement exists, and we all want to live in a better, healthier planet, us and our kids, though the reality shows that currently the CO2 emissions are rising, even though our plans are to limit this and even to reduce it. For the time being, with the current electricity mix, the situation looks like that. Talking about nuclear, the reality is that for the time being, nuclear, it is one of the biggest contributors to the limitation of the carbon emissions. And here you have some numbers which are related to the advanced economies, where we can see that nuclear, it is the primary source for low carbon electricity, while you'll see from some other statistics that worldwide, because yes, indeed, nuclear, it is present mostly in the advanced economies, but worldwide it is the second low carbon power generation. Also, sticking to numbers, it is proved that without nuclear power, CO2 emissions from electricity generation would have been almost 20% higher over the last 50 years. So, talking about that, I think it is clear that yes, nuclear do have a role, and it may have a major role in meeting our climate objectives. However, and that's from a report our sister agency, IEA, has released at the beginning of this year, the situation looks, if we look on the right side, on the graph on the right side of the slide, we'll see in fact three scenarios. Which is the current generation, nuclear generation fleet, and what will be the future evolution if we do not do anything, and that's the line which goes down. The dotted one, it is with purple, it is what will be the situation if we are going to really have deploying the planned long-term operations and new builds as we know them as they are planned as of today. And the bottom-up line, in fact, it is what it is called the Sustainable Development Strategy, which in fact it means the need we have for nuclear in order to achieve the climate goals as they are defined now. Because I told you that I will start with data which do not necessarily belong to NEA, but belong to others. Another set of data are offered to us by IPCC, which was looking at 4 different pathways towards achieving the climate goals under the Paris Agreement. And I won't go through each of these pathways. However, I think what it is important to note is whatever of the 4 scenarios we take, we need at least doubling the nuclear power generation. And this shall happen by 2050. And why that? And I have to say that I find amazing the statement coming from Mr. Birol from IEA, which says that despite the impressive growth of solar and wind power, the overall share of clean energy sources in total electricity supply in 2018, it is the same as it was 20 years earlier. So it still remains at 36%. And this happened because of the decline of the nuclear. So even though everyone admits that nuclear, it is a serious contributor to a healthier planet and in combating the CO2 emissions, the fact is that nuclear, it is declining lately, at least in the advanced economies, and the support provided to the other resources, which of course have their role, and I have to say very clearly, it's not one against the other. From our point of view, it is really using, as Massimo said earlier, all resources we do have. It is not a better or a worse one, it is just finding the right mixture. So even though some of them were seriously supported, in fact the impact is not the one which was estimated when this started. According again to IEA, they project that an increase of the share of nuclear from 10 to 16, 15, 16%, which shall be at the minimum share in order to have a chance to achieve the climate goals, together with the massive increase of renewables and the phase out of coal, it is one of the needs of the future energy mixes. And if we look at the graph on the left side of the slide, you'll see that, yes, at least a doubling of the nuclear capacity, it is forecasted to take place by 2050. If we move on, please. I won't stick very much on that. And this slide, it is just to support the idea of complementarity. Of course, yes, we all want to reduce CO2 emissions, and we all admit that the renewables have their role in achieving these targets. So we do really believe that the complementarity and having the right mix, it is what it will help all of us to achieve these goals. But in order to achieve that, it is clear that we have to work a little bit more, and we have to focus on certain aspects, because as we all know, and as it was already said, one of the features of the renewables is the fact that they are intermittent. And you have to compensate. And if we are talking about coexistence of nuclear with renewables, obviously flexibility is one of the features we have to concentrate on. It is one of the features we have to develop. And here we structured this flexibility in several main categories, and we are talking about operational deployment and product flexibility. Obviously, some of them are technical innovation, technical improvements we have to achieve in nuclear. Some of them obviously require some adapted policy frameworks. Here are several examples when we are talking about technical innovation and about the flexibility of nuclear when we are talking, in fact, about some other products to be added to the production of electricity. And here we are talking about the district heating. That's something already going on in a lot of cities in Europe, including in Romania, the country I come from. We are talking about the process heat and the production of hydrogen. We are talking about the desalination. And if we are talking about a better planet, I think we all have to remember one of the UN studies which says that the expectations are that 14% of the world's population will encounter water scarcity by 2025. Today we are talking just about 1%. So I think desalination is going to be one of the biggest challenges, and nuclear for sure can play a role on that. Now, to conclude, some takeaways from our point of view about the future role of nuclear. Today, we provide around 10% of the world's electricity, the second largest source of low-carbon electricity. But the need it is for at least 15 to 16% according to different opinions from different well-recognized organizations. In order to achieve that, obviously, we need, first of all, the long-term operation, so the possibility to have extended operations of the existing fleet, but we also need new build. And we know that these are seriously challenged today. When we are talking about new build in advanced economies, that's one of the biggest challenges. As a result, in order to achieve that, obviously, we need to do something. First of all, we think we need to have a policy change, of course, which more than creating a level playing field for all the resources, because yes, we are talking about the market failure in many economies. For sure, attributes nuclear has need to be valued, and here we are talking about CO2-free, about the security of supply, about reliability, about dispatchability. And with that, we may create the financing framework for new build, which obviously doesn't mean that we have to stop innovation. We really need to continue innovation when it's about reducing cost for generation 3 and 3+. We have to ensure the success of the new technologies as the SMRs or the generation 4. And here it is about, again, reducing costs, increased flexibility, and to demonstrate at the industrial scale the nuclear non-electrical applications. Last but not least, for sure, better communication on nuclear it is required. I think we as an industry have learned already from the past experience, and that's one of the key for the future. Thank you very much.
Un grand merci.